Hey there, I'm Ian Douglas. I'm the author of the website techinterview.guide, and I'm here to help people with career advancement and interview preparation. My live stream on Twitch covers topics such as company research, how to build resumes and cover letters, applying for the job, getting through interviews, and what to do during negotiations. I've coached thousands and thousands of people over the years to get jobs at the biggest tech companies in the industry, and I'm here to help you too. The following episode is taken from a longer live stream event and may contain interactions with other people in chat. Check out the end of the episode for more information. Let's get to it. We had a question drop in chat. It said, thanks for the stream. I'm a self-taught junior developer looking to obtain my first position in the tech industry. I'm 30. I've worked my entire career in hospitality. I was wondering if you have any recommendations on how to both structure and populate my resume. I'm worried that most of my experience that I have, aside from working within a team, is irrelevant to my new role. I appreciate the question, first and foremost. Secondly, there's a lot about being in the hospitality industry that's really helpful. Now, when you say hospitality, you don't specifically mention, was it food service hospitality or some other customer service style of hospitality? So if you could drop that as a follow-up in chat while I kind of go through these initial thoughts, that'll give me a little more context for your question. I've spoken with a lot of employers. I was a software teacher myself for 4 years at a code school in the Denver region. And we actually would sit down with employers and say, what do you want from our students? What kinds of skills? And then what kind of background from our students do you find most helpful on your teams? And a lot of them came back and said hospitality, specifically food service. They really appreciate that because you've worked on teams, you've worked on fast-paced teams. Specific to the food service industry, you've worked, as we call it, like front of house, back of house, or rear of house, which is like the actual serving staff who actually bring the food to your table versus the people in the back who actually have to prepare the food. And so because you're working across multiple teams and making sure that that communication is really clear so that you can get the customer what they want. And that's a really important thing when it comes to user empathy when we're becoming software developers. We have to really understand what is it that the user wants. How do we fulfill that user's need? How do we do it in a way that's empathetic? How do we do it in a way that's inclusive? How do we do it in a way that's accessible? And how do we do it with speed? Maybe not in that order, but those are the things that are typically going to be important to a company. Those are the kinds of things that you really want to highlight on that resume. Now, when your work experience is not tech related, it does sometimes feel a little bit like I don't want to have to over-explain what I did as a server or as I worked as a staff member in a hotel or whatever area of hospitality that you actually worked in. So again, if you can drop that in chat, give me a little more context, I can kind of refine my answer a little bit. But either way, you've worked with customers. You've had some expectation of following some standards, following some rules, learning how to sort of work those processes, but also how to problem solve on the fly. What happens if I'm serving a customer and we run out of a particular kind of food? Or how do I serve orders, for customers in a particular order to make sure everybody's getting their food while it's hot? How do I problem solve if somebody needs a drink, but I also need to run back to the kitchen and grab someone else's food? Can I grab the food and that drink and do both at the same time? Should I do the drink first? Meanwhile, the food's getting cold. Do I do the food first because that takes longer to deliver? Meanwhile, the other person's still waiting for their drink. Do I delegate and say hey, can you get a drink for this person at this table while I go get the food? These are all problem solving skills that you build up in hospitality. So again, if you can give me a little more context to that in chat. With building that out as part of your resume, you're going to have several things on the resume. So a typical tech resume, I like to see skills at the very top. As a hiring manager, I need to see quickly, do you have the kind of skill that I'm even looking for? I don't want to have to hunt for those keywords on your resume. And so for me as a hiring manager, I like to see the resume with your contact information at the top, immediately followed by the skills that you know. What programming languages, what frameworks, what libraries have you used? Have you interacted with databases? Have you deployed code? What kinds of tools, what kind of libraries? Do you know Git? Have you worked in agile methodologies? All that kind of stuff. Build out a skills block. You can go check out my YouTube channel. I've got a bunch of resume reviews and a playlist, and you can kind of go see how I've formatted other people's resumes and get some ideas about the kinds of things that you can mention in that skills block. From there, if you're brand new in the industry and you're trying to get that first job in tech, I would probably make that next section the project work that you've been working on. So any kind of technical projects that you've been building, whether it's part of an online curriculum like 100 Devs or a code school, or just side projects of things that you want to automate around your house because now you're understanding how to build those kinds of things. Like I automate all kinds of stuff around here with lights and so on, and just different tasks that, you know, some of my home automation things. I don't want to say the AG name, otherwise my phone's going to kick in. But there are things that you can automate as a developer. You can list those as project work. And then from there, you can list out your actual work experience. The work experience, because it's been professional experience, it's important that you put that on the resume. You want to show that you've been professionally employed. Even if it's in the hospitality industry, that's fine. You've still been an employee. You can still be trusted to work with customers, interact with customers, meet their expectations, meet their needs. Those are all important. What you don't want to do is you don't want to over-explain what you did. Like if you were a cashier at a grocery store, you don't want to over-explain what you did. You can literally just say cashier at a grocery store. Everyone's going to have some idea or concept of like, okay, you handled money, you interacted with customers, you were cheerful and polite, and you know, you were able to like scan through things, maybe problem solve if like a barcode didn't work, or if it was missing a barcode or something like that. Like, what do you do? There's going to be problem solving. So you don't have to over explain what some of those roles are. But if there was something novel about that role that you can share about what you did in that role in hospitality, that can really stand out. And so the bullet points that you want to put on there, you'll typically have fewer bullet points because it's not tech related. But as much as possible, you want to use a strong action verb of something that you did, and it'll be kind of written in the past tense. If you can quantify what you did and really the impact to the team or impact to the company. Like I updated a procedure to do something more efficiently and it saved everybody, 10% of their time or something like that. Like if you can quantify that and actually explain a little bit more about those kinds of things. And so some follow-up in chat from them. I worked back of house as a chef. I have experiences working as a senior sous chef. That's awesome. That's great. Teaching and organizing a team. Those are fantastic skills. So now I can give you more specific things that you can put on those bullet points. Talk about how many people you taught. How many people did you train? What kinds of processes did you come up with as a sous chef to help make things more efficient, more effective around the kitchen as people were preparing? How did you hold them to safety standards, and what kinds of safety standards did you have to follow? And so your bullet points are going to be trained 5 staff members, to work efficiently, with communication. Maybe anything new that you came up with. Did you have to develop new recipes? Did you have to develop new preparation techniques based on maybe the size of the kitchen or the layout of the kitchen in a way that made it effective and efficient to like move things around? Like, any sort of problem solving around that, like optimized when to prepare certain vegetables, to be ready, or certain food ingredients to be ready for specific meal times. Or food organization. Like, were you in charge of like taking in the deliveries and making sure that things got unpacked in the refrigeration units in a way that you could, you didn't have to like move a bunch of stuff to get that chicken and then have to move a bunch of stuff back. Like, the ingredients that you needed more often were easier to get. Did you have to organize any of that sort of thing? Those are the kinds of bullet points that you'll put on that resume. Again, you don't have to over explain like what you did as a chef, but as a sous chef, you had specific responsibilities. The fact that you trained other people and had to organize your team and make sure everybody had responsibilities and roles that they had to play, and holding them to account for that, those are the bullet points you're going to put on that resume. So yeah, I appreciate the extra context, because now I can give you a little bit more content as far as like how I would sort of shape that on the resume. So I would probably put 3, 4, 5 bullet points as far as like what your responsibilities were, because you were in a leadership type of role. Were you involved in hiring? Were you involved in interviewing? Were you involved in, just walking through those standards and like helping people improve that process? Like, what were those kinds of things? Those are all things I would absolutely put on that resume. And then again, as you're learning the technical skills, though, your project work is probably going to come first, because again, as a hiring manager, I want to see the skills that you claim to know. how you've used those skills. And in your case, because you haven't worked in the tech industry professionally yet, you're only going to have project experience. So I would want to see skills and then projects and then other related work experience where you've been employed professionally. And again, it can be non-technical work. But I would also label that as like non-technical experience. Now they're going to look at that and go, well, yeah, you're a sous chef. That's not technical experience. But you're specifically calling it out because on your next resume, after you get that first job, on your next resume, you're going to have professional technical experience, but then you're still going to want to call up this sous chef, and now that you'll have like professional tech experience, maybe put less project work on the resume, but you still want to show the sous chef kind of role. Those are great qualities that you bring to a team. You know how to lead a team. You know how to build a team. You know how to organize a team. You know how to like keep everybody kind of in line and in order. And those are great things to talk about that you're bringing to the team, plus the technical skill. Those are going to be great qualities to bring. Thanks for checking that out. I hope that you found it helpful. I always appreciate feedback, so please let me know what you think. I appreciate any subscriptions, so please tell your friends and colleagues about it as well. Check out the website techinterview.guide for more information about when I'm live streaming and all of my free content. Drop by a live stream anytime to ask questions or message me privately, whatever makes you most comfortable. See you next time.